An update was announced by Snutt, the community manager at Coffee Stain Studios, that there's a change coming to the M.A.M in 1.0. This change has to do with how hard drives and alternate recipe selections are changing. Let's dive in and stay tuned for my opinion at the end. In the current state of the game, because I've had many playthroughs, I am now using cheap hard drives as well as craftable power shards. Because if you've played the game and have explored it enough, and you've put yourself at risk to get the items properly, after enough playthroughs, I just wanted to build, expand, and skip through the hunting process altogether. However, I highly suggest if it's your first playthrough that you should explore the world and leave mods out entirely. The world is beautiful, and the added survival aspect is fun. But if you're like me, factor games are addicting, thus leaving out the exploration entirely is my preference. Now, how does this change to the M.A.M work? So in the past, you would be prompted 3 options to choose from once the hard drive process is ended. This is assuming you would know which recipe would benefit you and what performs better than the default recipe. For new players, there's no way of knowing which one of these options are the best or useful. Additionally, your M.A.M is bottlenecked and will not perform any other searches or researches until you have made that decision. I found myself making a selection, and hopefully I remember I made that selection, and hopefully it benefits me later on down the line. I guess you could just look up the recipe and understand that recipe. You can even search in it locally in the game and compare it next to the default recipe. The new change does a couple things to remedy how you make a decision and avoids bottlenecking the M.A.M. This will give you the time you may need to make educated decisions on which recipe is better for you and your current state of the game. In 1.0, instead of being prompted 3 options, you are now prompted only 2 options. Sounds like you're losing the opportunity on a new recipe? Not necessarily, and I'll cover that in a second. The M.A.M can keep the completed process of your hard drives, allowing you to come back and make a decision later, removing the bottleneck we currently have. Or perhaps when you're approaching that recipe item to better understand which one will benefit you in your current state of the game, and then choose it. Additionally, those 2 options, this is where the win comes in, you're giving a reroll. So you can technically have 4 options to choose from opposed to 3 before. And now this will improve, getting the recipe that you're looking for. And it also has a nice visual tool approach, which allows you to look back and see what recipes you've chosen so far and how many hard drives you've completed but not chosen a recipe from, and attempt to re-roll them if you like at the time to obtain the recipe that you do need at the time. Upon creating this video, I have 1400 plus hours in Satisfactory. Now with that said, my opinion on this is that I would have liked to seen it done differently. Perhaps with a possible skill or progression tree that you see in a M.A.M today that unlocks specific items and gear. This way, it's giving me an objective to achieve in order to get the recipe I'm looking for, and just leave RNG out of it completely. This would also give me a view of all the possible recipes that are out there, and maybe gray out some down the line a little bit. And now they're organized in tiers, kind of, giving them value of how useful they are. This approach is currently used in the game with the current implementation of items, so I didn't think it'd be too hard to implement, but what do I know? Additionally, if there's a recipe I'm not interested in, I would have the option not to pursue it and go down a different path. I do believe the changes in 1.0 is better approach than the current implementation. However, it wasn't the kind of change I was looking for. No matter, I am excited to do my next playthrough when 1.0 comes out, and I'm really fighting myself not to do a pre-launch playthrough. Hopefully you'll join along as Parallel Players dives in and has fun. Thank you.